Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Star Wars is arguably the most successful film franchise in existence, but its legacy in gaming is not quite so impressive. EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2017 will go down as one of the worst video game launches in history. Everyone knows about the whole loot box fiasco which damaged the brand and put monetization on the radar of lawmakers around the world. However, in spite of such a monumental failure of a launch, the game as it stands today is actually a pretty decent Star Wars shooter. After 2 years of regular free content updates which have transformed the game into something actually worth playing, EA is ending its support for the game just like with Battlefield 5 later this year. In a blog post, creative director Dennis Branville explained that its vision for Star Wars Battlefront 2 is now complete. For more than 2 years, the team has deployed 25 free content updates that have shaped and expanded Star Wars Battlefront 2 into something truly special for Star Wars fans. We've introduced game-changing heroes, fan-favorite reinforcements, exotic planets, and epic new ways to play across all 3 cinematic eras. We've also shared in your excitement along the way. As developers, it's incredibly fulfilling to see players of all kinds living out their Star Wars fantasies in our game. Whereas Battlefield 5 goes out with barely a whimper, Battlefront 2 will receive a final update including content from Rogue One, which is easily the best new Star Wars movie, and I don't care what any of you think. This will be in the form of a coastal map based around the tropical planet Scarif, which was featured in 2015 Star Wars Battlefront. However, characters like Jyn Erso and Director Krennic will not be returning as playable characters. There will also be new mode tweaks to Age of Rebellion supremacy on certain maps to accommodate narrative restrictions, which is something I never thought I'd say when talking about a multiplayer game. New skins are being added which can be unlocked in a few different ways. Rey, Kylo Ren, and Palpatine will all receive looks inspired by their appearances in Rise of Skywalker, with Rey getting an additional variant with the hood up if players uncover a mystery on Takodana. Darth Maul also gets a new skin based on his costume from Star Wars Rebels, complete with his robot legs, but to unlock him, players will have to kill 5,000 enemies. You could do the Kessel Run before you got to that many. Aside from that grindy as hell kill count, Star Wars Battlefront 2 should be remembered as one of the success stories of this generation of how after one of the worst game launches of all time, things can actually be turned around. I mean, to be fair, the bar was set so low that doing literally anything would have been an improvement on what we got, but at least now it's the game it should have been all along. That said, the game certainly isn't perfect, and there are plenty of other additions that could have improved the overall game, from more single-player content like Galactic Conquest to popular hero requests like Ahsoka Tano or Boba Fett. Though based purely on what we see in the movies alone, Jango Fett is way fucking cooler, find me, I don't care. Taking both Battlefield and Battlefront out to pasture to execute might signal that more games in these franchises are just around the corner. EA has confirmed to IGN what had been hinted at before, that the next Battlefield game will be in 2021. Longer term, the studio is focused on the future of Battlefield that we'll be bringing to players in 2021. In other EA Star Wars news, Respawn's Jedi Fallen Order, along with FIFA and Madden, will join Google Stadia and the 4 of you still using the service. Now, a game that requires specifically timed parries to play correctly doesn't exactly sound like the perfect fit for a platform plagued by latency issues, but if you can get it to cooperate, Jedi Fallen Order is a decent, if albeit flawed, Star Wars action adventure. And next up, Gears Tactics launched on PC yesterday and has got off to a pretty impressive start, especially for a spin-off. Gears of War reinvented the third-person shooter back in 2006 with its focus on over-the-shoulder cover shooting. Since then, the franchise has done little to really push its boundaries again, but that changes with Gears Tactics, which drops the third-person shooting for a turn-based tactical XCOM-like experience. And for the most part, it seems to have been a pretty successful change, sitting at 81 critic score on Metacritic and 8.3 user score. Of the 63 positive critic reviews, the game achieved perfect scores from God is Geek and Daily Star. God is Geek's Mike Fraser gave it 10 out of 10 and said Gears Tactics is big and brash at times, but it's also deep, intelligent, and balanced, with all the heart and passion we've come to expect from a Gears game. However, he did criticize some frame rate issues. Daily Star's Johnny Foster gave it 5 stars and said the Coalition has taken the Gears franchise in a brave new direction into XCOM's genre and executed it to perfection, though he did say it could have done with an extra act or 2 and some more boss fights. Paul Sullivan from COG Connected was not impressed and only awarded the game 55, calling it a tactical error. Gears Tactics tries some new things but ultimately results in a game that's less tactics oriented than the name suggests. It's a competent experience but completely whiffs on character with a lackluster story, and every tool is a hammer class design. Add in repetitive mission structure and Gears Tactics is a far sight less replayable than the giants of the genre. Jeremy Peel of VG247 felt similarly prickly on the game, giving it 3 out of 5 stars, criticizing the story and pacing. Ultimately though, it's down to a breathlessly dynamic battle system to provide Gears tactics with surprises. Something as safe as setting your soldiers to Overwatch so that they can shoot moving targets in the enemy turn becomes endlessly watchable when those enemies can pinball between kill zones knocked about by bullet spray. Kotaku's Zach Swisen was fairly positive about this new edition, saying, 2 years removed from its surprise announcement, Gears Tactics is a creative success. While it lacks multiplayer and features a few too many repetitive missions, its aggressive combat and dedication to translating all the details of Gears of War into a tactical game are impressive. This isn't a gimmick or a reskin of XCOM, this is something great that stands on its own. Polygon was a bit harsher, with Charlie Hall saying, moving and shooting and cutting up locusts is a good time, even in a turn-based system, but that's not enough to sustain an entire game. Every other element of the game, from the class system to the perks, to the way that missions and UI elements are designed, needs more refinement and care. This is a near miss, but as anyone who has ever played a turn-based game will tell you, a near miss can be all an enemy needs to take you out. This is an interesting but hardly essential addition to the Gears family. Finally, Chris Bratt from Eurogamer was mixed on Tactics, saying, there are a few moments in which Tactics does manage to be the successful marriage between Gears of War and XCOM that you might have hoped for, but as a whole package, I'm not convinced it's ever quite as good as that. The general consensus seems to be that Gears Tactics is a decent turn-based tactical shooter that apes many of the best elements of juggernauts like XCOM, but as it is more accommodating to newcomers, it is less tactically complex and therefore possibly less stimulating for veterans. It seems to be at least somewhat repetitive, and this is made worse by the absence of additional modes like multiplayer. Personally, I'll definitely be picking this up when it makes its way to the Xbox, as I've been crazing a Gears strategy game for years, but let me know what you think down in the comments. And finally, just a quick one to close it out, Doom Eternal is one of the very best games of the year so far, and certainly one of the prettiest, but the series wasn't always that way. The iconic Doom guy originally started life as just a handful of pixels at the bottoms of our screens, but now, using the wonders of AI, we can see what he may look like in the real world. Reddit user Panishev shared the face which looks like every generic movie officer guy who butts heads with the cocky protagonist who doesn't care for the rules. Either that or a history teacher who always talks about the war. Don't mention the war. And how you've never known real hardship in your life, though he's too young to have fought anywhere and spends his lunch breaks crying into his coffee and screaming at kids to get off the grass. In other fun Doom news, the cover art for Doom 2 has been found within the track Welcome Home Great Slayer from Doom Eternal. Composer Mick Gordon has hidden stuff in the soundtrack of Doom 2016 in the past, so I doubt this is the last of his secrets. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments, toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.